I love creepy people. I'm totally okay with that.
You're listening to the Creative Faith and Friends podcast, episode number 14.
Oh, I got you. There's no reason to chasing payment on my own, 'cause you're here to stay every night and day. I'm delighted 'cause I got you.
Well, hello and welcome to the Creative Faith and Friends podcast. My name is Melissa Ohlson from pinkpaperpeppermints.com, and I am here with my two co-hosts, Lauri. Hi, Lauri.
Hi, Melissa.
And Jessica. Hi, Jess.
Hey, y'all.
And today we're in our mixed media series, and we're talking about collage. And we have so many fun things to share with you about collage. One particular kind of collage that we are really excited about. Well, at least Jessica and I are really excited about.
Yes.
So we are going to talk about that. But first, we have some happy mail to share with you. And Jess has some happy mail that she's going to share.
Yes, and this happy mail comes from at FL Quilter on iTunes, and the comment that she left says, "This is a wonderful podcast. Listen as these ladies discuss their creativity, inspiration, and their faith. Wonderful way to find other like-minded creatives. The segment at the end is one of my favorites. They share a new discovery for the week that could be a craft supply, a website, or a new technique they have learned to implement while creating. Can't wait to listen next week." Yay! Thank you so much.
Thank you, FL Quilter. That was so sweet. I love fun finds too, although they cost me a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're super fun.
But they are fun. So if you would like us to share your comments or thoughts on the podcast, then just leave us a note at pinkpaperpeppermints.com/podcast, or you can leave us a review on iTunes, which we very much appreciate because that helps other creative people find us. So you can do either one of those, and then we will share your comment here on the podcast. So we are going to talk about collage today, and we had a really hard time narrowing this down because there are so many kinds of collage, but we want to just talk about the basic paper and glue collage, and then we're also going to talk about a new kind, not new, but new to us kind of collage that we've been doing. So first of all, let's talk about what is collage. It comes from a French word, which I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce. I tried to get Lauri and Jess to tell me how to pronounce it. And they both laughed and said, no, they're not going to try either. So it's a French word that means to glue or to stick something down. And that's basically what collage is. You're just gluing things down to the page. And there are so many different kinds of collage. You have people that do very minimalist, just cut paper and nothing else. And then you have people that just put everything on their collage. You have what's called assemblage, which I think a lot of Tim Holtz fans like to do that because he's got all those little pieces, bits and pieces and gears and everything.
Ooh, I don't know what assemblage is. Are we going to talk about that?
That's not on my list because we have so much to talk about. But basically, it's like 3D collage. You're assembling things.
Okay.
So I'm sure you've seen people use his clock face.
Yes.
That's blank. And then you basically cover it in paper and paint and glue 3D items to it. And that's what a lot of people use all his 3D stuff for.
I did not know it was called assemblage.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. It's probably like assemblage or something.
I'd say assemblage. I think you're good.
Yeah, I think so too.
In Texas, we say assemblage. There's always an extra syllable in there.
That's right.
There's all types of collage. So really, I think the best thing to do if you want to start playing with collage is just get a notebook and just start playing with it and decide what kind of collage that you personally are drawn to, because everybody's going to be drawn to something different. So as far as collage, when you guys think about it, what do you feel like you're drawn to? Clean, minimalist, cut paper style, or more messy, painty, layered style?
I love the messy, painty, layered, sewn on style.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, I absolutely adore it. And oh my gosh, y'all, I lived through the 80s. I was a teenager. I have never done the neon thing, but I will tell you what, I love neon on paper. It has made my heart so very happy lately.
Me too. I'm completely in love with neon.
Oh my gosh.
I've always loved it, but Since we talked about this last week, I got those chalk pastels that are in neons,
Yeah.
and I just
Oh,
love
you
them
did get
so
them?
much.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
have to buy some new neon paint soon. I just have these little 3-inch tall tubes from Hobby Lobby. But they're just, I love them.
I got some neon paint. It was something that Jess recommended in our painting episode. It's a hot pink fluorescent golden heavy body.
Yes.
And
Oh.
it is really gorgeous.
Yes, those are so pretty. I'm not big on neon. I go with more of the muted neutral tones with some blues
Yeah.
thrown in. But
Yeah.
I
Which
love
is
the
beautiful.
messy. Yeah. Y'all know I love the messy torn paper, inked edges, sewn, destroyed, crumpled, stepped on, thrown, whatever you can do to destroy it. That's what I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a very vintagey style. I like
Yeah.
vintage too, but I like colorful vintage. I like
Yeah.
mixing vintage with colors.
And you like white edges and not the inked
Yeah.
edges. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
or sewn. I like to sew the edges
Yeah.
or have some kind of texture on the edges more than ink, but I love your inked edges and your vintagey look in your books.
I think it's just neat that we all have different styles. We like the same
Mhm.
things, but then we don't. Like we have our own signature when you look at our work, which is
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, well, let's talk about tools. First, there's basically very basic tools for collage, which is paper,
Yep.
scissors, adhesive, and then your substrate, whatever you're working on. So for paper, that's the most fun part. And if you heard our episode on paper, you know that we're all a little bit obsessed with paper.
Oh, yeah.
So this section could take the whole podcast, us talking about paper again. But since we've already done that once, I will just put the link to that episode in the show notes
Yes.
in case you missed that episode on paper. But some of the paper that you can use, magazine pages and catalog pages, are great because there's all kinds of really fun images that you can fussy cut out and use in your collage. Found papers like tickets and receipts and even just junk mail you can use as backgrounds in a collage.
Yep.
Obviously, vintage papers, tissue paper. What are some papers you guys can think of?
Painted papers, inked
Yes.
papers. I
Paper.
love all that stuff. Yes, rice paper. And I just did some painting on, I pulled it from my jelly plate with bright colors, tracing paper. And it looks so
Yes.
pretty when it's glued down because it's got that sheer look, but you
Mhm.
see the color. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it. That's my new favorite.
Deli paper is like that too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You can type on deli paper, and then when you glue it down, the deli paper just melts and disappears into your collage. So it looks like you've typed right on your collage.
Oh, I'm going to have to try that. That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
It's really fun.
Ledger papers.
Of course, ledger.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wrapping paper is
Yes.
good, especially vintage wrapping paper.
Wallpaper. That's
Yes.
another
Yes.
fun one to use in a collage, especially old wallpaper. It tears
Yeah.
really neatly and yeah.
Yeah.
Gives great texture.
If you can't bring yourself to use vintage wallpaper, if that's not in your budget, I have a lot of vintage wallpaper printables. So you can use those and you can use them over and over again. So that's something fun with those. Decoupage paper
Mm-hmm.
and paper napkins
Mm-hmm.
are really
Mhm.
fun for collage for backgrounds. Oh, old maps is another one.
Yes.
Yes,
love
old
maps.
book pages. I love old books like
Yes.
encyclopedia type pages or
Mhm.
maps, like you said, or old botanical, that kind of stuff.
Hymn
Yeah.
pages, old hymn books.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, hymnals. I love hymnals as
Yes.
backgrounds. Photographs too. If you take your own pictures, even if you don't consider yourself a photographer, you don't really have to be a photographer to take pictures that are good for collage. You can just go out and take pictures of the clouds. If you have a sunny day with pretty fluffy clouds, take a bunch of pictures of clouds. Those make beautiful collage backgrounds. Or just point your phone up at the trees and get just leaves with the clouds behind them. That makes a beautiful collage background. The wood on your deck, if you have an old crochet blanket, all kinds of things like that you can take pictures of, and it makes really pretty backgrounds, or just tearing it into pieces and collaging with it.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then I hinted about this, I think it was last episode, but it might have been a couple episodes ago, that I have a brand new product line coming out, and it's going to debut when this episode debuts. So that's going to be Thursday, the what, guys?
The 24th
24th.
Yep.
of June.
Well,
Yeah.
they'll know what day it is because they'll be listening to this.
Well, but if somebody's listening in the future,
True. Then they
Yes.
won't know.
Yes.
So June the 24th, I have a new line coming out called Clip and Collage, and it's going to be sheets of collage papers and shapes and designs and word art and all kinds of fun things. And some of it will be already collaged, so you can use it just like it is. And some of it will just be designs that you can then collage together. So I am super, super excited about that. And I've already been playing with it a little bit and actually did a matte medium transfer with it, and it worked really well. So I'm really excited to share a video with you about that too. And you guys
Oh.
have played with it a little bit, right? Or-
Yes.
Yes.
Love it.
it just dawned on me. I wonder if I can print on tracing paper. Wouldn't that
Yeah.
be cool?
Sure, you can.
Try
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going
that.
to have to try that. It seems like I've printed on tracing paper one time, but I don't remember now. But I'm going to give it a whirl. I'll let you know.
So yeah, so that is very exciting. That new line is out now. If you're hearing this, that means that it's out now. And then I'll be adding to that pretty frequently because it's a lot smaller than my big kits. So it'll
Yay.
be easier to add stuff to it. And I think those are really fun because a lot of people don't have the budget or the time or the inclination to go scouring for vintage items
Mhm.
Yeah.
that if they're not big collectors, but they'd like to use those. Or I know that there are a lot of people that just cannot bring themselves to rip up 100-year-old ledger page
Right.
and put it in their journal. So that's where I think printables come in handy is you don't have to have that guilt feeling about it.
Right.
You don't have to store them, which is really nice. You can use them over and over and over again. So there's a lot of advantages to using printable ephemera.
For sure.
So scissors, I personally like the Fiskars microtips. You know, they don't have the handle. You just squeeze them.
That's what I love.
Yeah, I love those.
They're the best.
They're really sharp. They've
Mhm.
got a very fine point, and
Yes.
then my hand doesn't get mushed by the the circle and the
Yes.
scissors.
Yes. I have some gold scissors that I had gotten from Amazon, and they're awesome scissors, but they're heavy. And
Yeah,
they start hurting my hand after a while. So I love those Fiskars ones. They're awesome.
yeah, those are my favorites. What about you, Jess? What
I'm
you
going
use?
to be the black sheep. I like pretty scissors, like
What?
little bitty, more. So, yeah, right. I know you're shocked there. They're real pretty. I have several pair. My mom tends to sell them in her fabric store because they're more made for sewing, like thread
Mhm.
nipping scissors. But
Mhm.
I love using those to cut ephemera, especially because they're little bitty. And maybe it's hand-eye coordination. I don't do real well with big scissors and little bitty things. So I do better
I don't either.
with those than I do bigger scissors.
Yeah,
Now, do you mean like the ones that are like bird-shaped scissors and like the
Mhm.
little embroidery
like
ones?
embroidery.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think my favorite are rainbow iridescent looking ones.
hmm
And yeah, they almost have a resemblance to a kid's scissor in school, but they are sharper and prettier.
Mhm.
And they're just
Yeah.
more fun to use. They make me happy when I look down at them.
Well, I have some embroidery scissors, but they're just plain old
No.
silver,
See, no.
boring. Maybe I need pretty ones.
You need pretty ones.
Yeah, I have some embroidery scissors that I love that I got from Sublime Stitching,
hmm
and they have pink handles. And she actually discontinued them for a while because the paint rubs off as you use them. But then everybody was like, "We love that," so she brought them back,
hmm
and it's so cool because the more you use them, you know how people on purpose try to get a chippy paint look on
Yes.
furniture and stuff. That's what these scissors look like. The more you use them, they get kind of chippy and vintagey looking. So
Yeah.
I love those. But I only use those for my embroidery because I don't want to dull them on paper. So I don't use them.
And see, I don't use these on my sewing. I have sewing, like I keep separate pairs at my craft table and then pairs at my sewing table. So I just get them from my mom and I love them.
Mm.
Well, we'll put your mom's shop in the
Yeah.
show notes
Okay.
too. So in case anyone wants to look and see what scissors those are. And I'll put the links to the Fiskars microchips as well. And then a tip is manicure scissors are really good for fussy cutting. They're very
Yeah.
small and very fine detail, and they're super cheap. They're like $3, like at if you have like a beauty supply shop near you, or I'm sure you can get them online. But that's a good tip if you don't want to go for the more expensive Fiskars or the pretty ones. Manicure scissors will work. And then a lot of people that do collage art use craft knives too. Now, I am not talented enough to do that.
No.
I think that could cause a problem for me and some of my fingers, but I know that a lot of people do use craft knives. So, okay, how about adhesives? Now, to be honest, I cannot find a good adhesive so far that I like. It seems like they all tend to buckle my paper. The best that I've used so far is matte medium really thin, or I have a glue stick that's by Elmer's, but it's not the regular school one. It's a special craft one, and that works pretty good, but it still peels up on the edges. What about you guys?
I have adhesives that I like. I don't have, let me go back. And before we move past the scissors, I want to mention something that's really good for collage. If you're using it on paper and you like to tear paper, a tearing ruler. You can buy tearing rulers, and I bought a metal one and I love it. But you can also make them. I have seen people get a plastic one and just chip the edges off of the plastic ones to create a jagged edge, and you just pull your paper up on those and it'll tear it, and you don't have to worry about tearing parts of your paper that you don't want to tear if you use a guide.
That is a really good idea. Yeah.
I love that for collage. Now with adhesives, I like the Scotch permanent glue stick that's red and black and white. You can buy them in bulk and they're pretty cheap, but they last. Like once it's down, it's down. And then I love the art glitter glue for the little pieces and the fine detail. It's my favorite.
Yeah, I like art glitter glue. I haven't used it for collage.
I have.
You have?
Yes. And I love it.
Does it dry clear enough though?
Yeah, it does. But now if I'm going to put something over the top, I really don't tend to put a sealant over the top of my collage. I like free edge collage.
Yeah.
If that's not a thing, I just created that word so that you can see the edges of everything. So I don't tend to cover my collage with something.
Okay.
I usually just glue things down so that you have all the jagged edges and the messiness of it.
Love that. That's exactly what I do. I have a glue stick. I think I was trying to buy the one Jess uses, but then I bought something different, but I love it. It's a Scotch glue stick. Is yours Scotch too, Jess, did you say? Yeah. It's a Scotch glue stick. I think it's just bigger around. It's less like a chapstick and more like a fatter glue stick. It's just Scotch Create glue sticks, permanent glue sticks, and I love it. And I've also used the Dilutions little mini glue sticks, and those work really well. Also, they're small, so when you have bigger things, it takes forever.
And they're pricey. They're a lot more expensive than the Scotch glue sticks.
Yes.
I haven't tried those. One thing that I use is not an adhesive is I like to sew things on my collages too.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
It's not technically an adhesive, but it is.
Yes.
And then Fabrifix. I use Fabrifix a lot when I'm doing fabric to paper. And the thing that I like about it is it dries almost instantly, but it does smell terrible and it's super expensive. But I like having it around for when I want to glue fabric to paper. And I am not a patient person with adhesive. I really don't like wet adhesive, but this particular one dries really fast. So that's why I like that.
I've never used Fabrifix.
You haven't? Oh, it will make you so happy the first time you glue a piece of fabric or fabric trim or pom-pom trim. And I mean, it dries like almost instantly, almost like a glue gun.
Well, I do have, so it's interesting. I do have this glue that I bought from someone from Instagram, a couple of years ago probably. And it's supposed to be like hot glue, but it's not hot. It's clear, thick glue. And since I don't have Fabrifix, I can't compare it, but it seems like it might be similar, but I really don't know.
It sounds similar.
Yeah.
The other thing about Fabrifix, it smells. And one time I put it in a baggie when I was traveling.
Oh.
So it wouldn't leak in my bag. And it just leaked in the baggie and it melted the plastic. Like it was melted like somebody had taken a heat gun to it.
Okay. You two and your smells. I have an update for y'all from last week's episode. Okay. I used some gelatos today. And I heat set them, and I sniffed all around, and I did not smell a thing.
What?
So I don't know what you're talking about, Jess.
There's something wrong with me, but I already knew that.
Intentionally, I even opened the thing and sniffed it, like put it up to my nose and sniffed it, and I couldn't smell anything.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. I've never heard anybody else complain about it, but I'm telling you, like, it does something under my skin type of smell. I can't deal with it.
If you're wondering what we're talking about,
gosh.
you'll need to check out episode 13, where we discussed things that make bad smells that we don't like,
Yes.
or good
Wait,
smells. Mine was a
no.
good smell.
We don't discuss that. You two discuss that.
Yeah.
Because we actually use our products.
That's right. You're probably exactly right.
Sorry, had to throw that in there.
So far, I haven't had any smelly issues, but I'm sure I will.
Okay, so substrates, let's talk about things that you can collage on. So mixed media paper is probably the best sturdy-wise, other than a harder surface like wood. But I've found that you can really collage on anything. And I've seen some really neat collages on all different things. Like I saw one where she had ripped the back of a book off and, just the book board, and she'd collaged right on that. And I thought that looked really, really neat.
And then what did she do with it?
I don't know. It's just a picture.
She had fun collaging it.
I'm sure she hung it on the wall or
Well,
something.
that's part of
or
my
probably
issue.
Sold it for a lot of money because it was really
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's true. Huh. Interesting. That sounds really cool. I like watercolor paper too. I have just delved into collage really in the last few months, I think. And this last week I've been doing some, and I love doing it on top of watercolor paper. It's nice and sturdy. It feels great.
And you don't get the bumpy texture doesn't come through your paper?
No. Well, by the time you're done with it, nobody's going to see the bumpy texture because I've
You put a lot
stenciled,
of
I've made
stuff,
marks,
yeah.
I've sewn, I've done all kinds of stuff. So
Yeah. Another thing is canvas, art canvas, but you can also get canvas paper. I don't know if y'all have ever seen that, but it comes in
Yes.
a paper pad,
Mhm.
and so you can get just canvas paper.
Is it canvas or is it just paper
Yeah.
that looks like
It's-
canvas?
No,
No,
it's
it's
canvas.
canvas.
It's really
Interesting.
cool.
I have heard of it. I have not seen it.
Wood blocks are another
Ooh.
thing. A lot of people do collage on wood blocks, and I've got a
Yes.
tip for that when we talk about our other kind of collage in just a minute. Manila file folders. I just did a collage on a manila file folder that I got in the mail, and I put that in the newsletter. So if you get the newsletter, you probably saw it already, but if not, I will put it in the show notes for this episode.
Yes. I need to see it again. I did get the newsletter, but I don't remember it.
Well, you can't really tell that it's a manila folder once I'm done, but I did put a step-by-step photo showing how it started off as a manila folder. But
That's
manila
cool.
folders are good because they have some weight to them, but they're not too heavy, so they can hold up to adhesive, but they're still thin, so you can use them as a page in your journal if you want to do a collage in your journal.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Cardstock.
Yeah, obviously cardstock works great.
I mean, all the things that you use for collage, you can
Yeah.
use as a substrate.
Yeah. Oh, another thing I've seen people do collage on is using drop cloth, like just from the
Ooh.
hardware store.
Yeah.
And it's super cheap, especially when you're cutting it down to such a small piece like what you would use in your journal. And it's got a weight to it and stuff doesn't soak through it. So I have not tried that myself, but that's another one that I've seen people use.
Wait, so you collage on top of the drop cloth
Mm-hmm.
and then you stick it in your journal?
Yeah. Well, first I would cut it down to page size. You know
Yeah,
how
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
use a page template for my Traveler's Notebooks inserts?
Mhm.
I would just cut it down to page size first. And then you can collage and paint it and stitch on it and do all kinds of things. And then you just slip it into your Traveler's Notebook insert like
As a page.
Yeah.
I love that idea. That's a great idea.
Yeah, and it's super cheap too compared to other kinds of fabric that you might buy. So, because Home Depot doesn't know we're collaging on it.
That's right. If they
True.
did, they'd probably mark it up. So let's not
I'm
tell
sure.
them.
Yeah.
So, a few other things are tweezers can come in handy when you're using little tiny pieces that you're collaging with. And I like the reverse action
Yes.
tweezers.
Yes.
That you
Those are the
squeeze them
best.
to open them.
Yes.
And then a mini clover iron. Have y'all seen these?
No.
No.
But
They're-
just my little fun find today has to do with a mini little something.
Is it
Okay.
is it the same thing that I have, Jess?
No.
Okay. No, I've not seen the mini clover. I have a different kind of mini iron.
I'll put a
Let me
picture
see.
in the show notes. I think it's designed to iron seams when you're sewing. Is that right, Jess?
It is. Especially for quilting.
Yeah.
How many is it exactly?
It's not, it really doesn't even look like a normal iron.
No.
Oh.
It looks like a wand.
With a flat
Oh.
head.
It has a metal triangle, and that's
Huh.
the part that's an iron, and it's to iron really tiny things when you're sewing. But what we are going to talk about in a minute is beeswax collage.
Yes.
And it is fantastic for that. So before we get to the beeswax collage, though, I have a couple of tips for paper collage. I know we've talked about this, so I don't know if we talked about it on the show yet or not. So if I'm repeating myself, I'm very sorry.
I'm sure it won't be the first time.
No, I'm sure.
One of us is bound to repeat something.
Yeah. So photocopying your artwork that you've already done, your own journal pages, is a really fun thing to use. And Lauri, we were talking about this before the show.
Yes.
That you just did this.
I did for the very first time. Now, I also discovered a secret that Melissa had not told me, which is neons do not translate very well in scanning.
Yeah.
So instead, I just took a picture as good as I could get and put it into my computer, and it's so awesome.
Yeah, and she printed it out. And so if you do some really pretty painted papers that you like, you can take a picture or scan them and use it again and again. And that is a really fun way to have papers for your work that's makes it so much more you, because it's something that you've already done.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you suggested that, Melissa, because I was just about to cut into that collage, and I love how it turned out. So
yeah, she made this gorgeous collage that I put in the newsletter last week. And so you've probably already seen it if you're on the newsletter list.
And if not, I did post it on Instagram today or yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
She put it on Instagram. So she was talking about what she was going to make out of it. And I was like, you have to scan it first.
I'm so glad you said that. I would have been really sad had I not.
Yeah. So that is a really good tip. Another one is we talked about, and we're going to talk about this some more with beeswax collage, but using little wood squares to collage on. It's a really firm surface, and they make pretty little things to hang on the wall, pictures and things for your collage. Well, I discovered at Hobby Lobby, and I'm sure at the dollar store, they have little $1 artworks that are little square boxes. And I'll put a picture of the one that I got at Hobby Lobby. It was literally $1. And it's already got a design on it. It's already got art on it, but you just paint over that. And if you buy a square block of plain wood at Michael's to do a collage on, it's $4 or $5. So it's a huge savings if you don't mind painting over whatever artwork is on there. Usually it's not super good,
Okay, can I just tell y'all, number one, why is it that every week I'm like, I don't understand. I've never seen that before. How come it's always me? Because I never know what we're talking about. And I don't have a clue what you're talking. I mean, I understand the word that you're saying, but I do not have a comprehensive picture of what we're talking about.
You saw it.
Collaging on wood. Okay.
Yeah.
The art, it would be something you'd sit up on your desk or hang
But
on
I've
the
never
wall.
I've never seen anyone collage on that.
You haven't?
You have. You just don't realize that's what it is.
Maybe so.
You have. I'm telling
struggling,
you.
y'all. I don't know.
Because I know
Okay.
some of the artists you follow on Instagram, and I know you've seen it.
Oh, right. Then we'll just carry on.
I will put pictures in the show notes. So Lauri and any of our listeners who might be relating to her that don't know what we're talking about can take a look at that. Also, I wanted to mention that Creative Bug has a really cool class, which I haven't taken yet, where she collages on wood. So
I have
Lauri,
that. I have Creative Bug. I'm going to get on that.
Yes, you do.
I know you have Creative Bug, so get on there and put collage in, and you will find it. And while we're on the subject of Creative Bug, I just want to say they just came out with a new deal for June that is so amazing. It's $50 for an annual membership, so you get all the classes for a whole year, and then you get a $50 Joanne gift card to spend. So it's like getting the Creative Bug for free.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so awesome. Unless you're already a member like us, then we don't get it. But
yeah, I know.
But if you're not and you've been thinking about doing it, now's a really good time. And we will have that linked in the show notes as well. So any other tips you guys have for paper collage?
I don't think so. Oh, I know. If you're going to collage in at least groups of 3. put 3 things down
Yes.
in a collage. At
Yes.
least.
And when we talked about
Odd
odd
numbers, yeah.
numbers last week in episode 13, if you want to hear more about that and our theory about why that's good. Also, if you're starting out and you're feeling nervous about it, try using just something that's not important to you, like just a composition book or an old magazine or a
Yeah.
catalog. Just
Yeah.
collage in that to start with, so you don't have that fear of, I don't want to mess up this pretty notebook or whatever.
hmm
I think printables are another fun thing for that, though, because if you don't like what you did, you can just print out a new one.
Yep.
So
Yes.
that
Oh
is
my
part
gosh, yes.
of the, yeah, I know, right? Me too. And
Yes, it's the best.
part of the new line is going to be Traveler's Notebook inserts that look like those old vintage journals and record books.
They're gorgeous.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Designed to collage in. So they've got colored ledger pages and they look like those old vintage ledgers. So that
Yeah.
might be a fun thing if you're worried about that too, to try collaging in those. And then one other thing I like to do is have words pre-cut. So I'll sit all at one time. And my favorite thing is to get old devotionals like from the 40s and 50s and cut words, because I like to do faith collage, and I know a lot of you do too, and cut scriptures and words about God and Jesus out of these old devotionals. And then I just keep them in a little tin. I actually use an old tin that had Neocolors in it. And I haven't actually collaged it yet, but I want to collage the outside. So far, it just looks like a
that would be
Neocolor
cool.
tin.
Hmm.
But I use that to keep all my little tiny pieces in because it's shallow and it's easy to keep them together. But I like to do that ahead of time so that I have just hundreds of phrases and words to choose from when I'm working. Because if I wait until I've actually made a collage, it's hard to find the right words. But what I like to do is go through that tin and pick the words that are speaking to me first, and then do the collage. And that informs the choices that I make about colors and pictures and things like that.
Oh my gosh. You have just blown my mind.
Really? Why? What do you mean?
Never have I ever considered starting with words and making a collage around them. Never one time. Never.
Really?
Not a page, not a collage, not anything. I love that idea.
When you pick the words, you're picking what you're feeling at that
Yeah.
moment. And especially with faith collage, if you're wanting to communicate something to the Lord or in worship or just about how you're feeling about something that you just read in the word, then you're going to be drawn to those words in your little stash of words.
That's brilliant. I love that. I'm going to try that.
Yay. So we have talked it over and didn't make you guys listen to it, but we have decided that beeswax should be its own episode because we have so much to talk about.
And it's so cool.
So I did want to say a couple more things about paper since we're not going to talk about beeswax. One thing is organizing your images, which I talked about the tin for tiny images. And then I like to put my bigger images in envelopes. And how you organize them really depends on how you think when you make art. For me, I think about color more than what the image is. So I organize by color because I tend to think I need something red.
Mm-hmm.
And so there might be a red car and a red book and a red wall. You know what I mean? It's all different things, but I know some people want a person or a car, or so they want specific shapes. So they organize by shape. So that has to be how you think, how you organize your pictures.
Yeah.
One thing that I have tried recently that I really liked was using book paper and taking a magazine page and then replacing part of it with the book page. So like the girl's dress, trace the girl's dress on the book page and then put the book page in place of her dress. And that can look really neat to use different patterns. And that's a great way to use the new collage papers too, because they're all different designs. When you cut them into shapes and glue them over other things, it looks like you spend a lot more time doing it than you did.
Yeah.
Mm.
Ooh, I can use my black and white people again with that. Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh.
Lauri's so happy right now. She doesn't like my creepy people.
No, I don't know what it is, but I just, I don't
You don't like
those.
people?
No.
She doesn't like people.
I don't like creepy people.
I love creepy people. I'm totally okay with that.
I don't think they're creepy.
I don't either.
I put scriptures with mine.
I think they have a story.
Yeah.
Let me make it more clear. It is not my style to collage like with a lady's head and then like from a magazine and then a whole bunch of stuff underneath or whatever.
Yeah.
That's just not my style. I
Yeah.
find beauty in it. I see other people's things and I think they're absolutely amazing. When I try it, it looks creepy and I don't like it.
Well, and that's just like what we were saying earlier. Some people like a minimalist style.
Yes.
Some people like painty. Some people like creepy people. Some people
I'm totally okay with the creepy people. I love them.
I love the black and white people.
Yeah.
As long as they're not, I don't like it when people collage weird things, like they cut someone's head off and they put a cat head instead of the person's head.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
I do not like that at all. Now, I know some people love it.
Yes.
And I can see the talent that it takes, the vision that it takes to create something like that. But it's just not my style. I like it to
No.
look pretty and,
Yes.
you know, I like scriptures. And
Jess, maybe you can send me a couple of people.
I'm going
And
to
I'll
send you a couple
try.
of people. Okay.
All right.
well,
All right.
this is a little hint, but the clip and collage is going to have people in it.
Oh,
Oh.
yay. I love
Ooh.
people.
Are they creepy people?
They're not. They're sweet people. There's happy faces.
Okay.
That's
I'll
awesome.
try the people.
And babies and kids and stuff.
Now, I like photos. I can deal with photos in a collage.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's really when, I think like you said, when like a head is replaced with a cat and it's just different
Yeah.
and it's just,
I don't
it's
like
not my
that.
style.
It's very jarring to me. I don't enjoy it either. So I know
Mhm.
exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
But the pictures, I actually that was part of that collage that I put in the newsletter that I did. I used one of the vintage pictures from the Summer Stories line,
Yeah.
and I did a really cool technique on it that I wasn't sure was going to work with printables, but it worked great with mine.
Yes. Are you going to show us how to do it?
Yes. Yeah. If y'all want me to, I'll do a quick tutorial. It's super easy. I
Yes.
can actually just tell you how to do it on here, but I'll show it in the show notes. I'll just show how I did it.
Awesome.
But what I did was I took some polka dot paper from the June kit, and it was green polka dots. And this picture, I had a lot of green in this collage. So basically you take matte medium, and then you do a coat of matte medium on the picture,
Mhm.
and then you put your picture that you want to transfer face down. So I was just doing the polka dot paper, and I just laid it face down on top of the matte medium on top of the picture, and then you dry it with your heat tool.
Mhm.
And then it needs to be completely dry or it won't work. So once it's completely dry, then you spritz it with water on the back. And have you ever done a packing tape transfer?
I've seen it. I haven't
Yes,
done it,
I have.
but
And
I've
I've
seen
done
it.
the image transfers from magazines.
Yeah, it's just like that. So you squirt the back of the paper and then you gently rub it with your finger. And basically what you're doing is you're just rubbing the white part of the paper off, and the ink part of the image stays down.
Huh.
So I will put that in the show notes so you can see what it looked like. But I thought it came out really cool. The polka dots across
Yes,
the
it
lady.
looks
I really
great.
liked it.
Mhm. Okay, I'm going to try that.
Yours is an inkjet printer and it worked with the inkjet?
Yes, mine is an inkjet printer. And
Wow.
I've always heard that you can't do matte
I
medium
have too.
transfers with an inkjet printer, but I did it and it worked and it looked really good.
Well, I'm
So
excited.
I am going to try that.
experiment with it because
Is there a certain kind of paper you need to print on, like just regular copy paper or?
the paper that I had was premium presentation paper was what I printed the vintage photo on. And
Uh-huh.
then the polka dot paper was printed on regular printer paper.
Okay. All right. I'm going to try that.
So-
I'll report back on whether or not it works with an inkjet. If
And
someone
then-
reminds me to report, I will.
Yeah. And then if you want, when it dries, it sometimes will have a cloudy film on it because you can't get all of that white paper off. So
Mhm.
one trick that I've learned is before it dries, brush a coat of clear matte medium over it. Then that white film will never appear.
Oh, okay. So
Oh.
after you've rubbed off the white,
Mhm.
then you
After
put the matte gel medium over it
Yes.
in order to seal it before it fully dries.
Yes, before it
Gotcha.
fully dries. If you wait till it's dry, you'll see the cloudiness again. But then you can just spray it wet again, get it
Oh.
damp, and then put the gel medium over it.
Oh, that's brilliant. Because
That
that's
really
always been
is.
an issue with the magazine
Yes.
transfers.
Because you just can't get all the white off.
No, and it makes them cloudy.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, are we ready for fun finds?
Yes.
Yes.
Jess, you want to go first?
Well, that's going to be interesting because my fun find has to do with the podcast we're now doing next week. I'm going to revert and do something that I just got. I just picked up at Michael's and I love them, but it's a new color for me, and it's the liquid pearls. If you have not tried Ranger's liquid pearls, you need to. They
Mm.
are so pretty to add accents, especially on butterflies. I love using them for the body of a butterfly, like using printed paper, like this collage paper would be gorgeous to do die cuts in the butterflies, and then add this for the little body in the center. Oh, I'm excited. I'm going to try it. But I got blue. It was a set of 3 that had light blue, blue, and green, and it's so pretty.
And it puffs up when it's a little bit puffy, right?
Yeah.
A little dimensional.
Yes, it's similar. Well, it's a dimensional pearlescent paint. So it's got a pearly sheen to it.
I'm pretty sure I have some of those
Yeah, it
at
reminds
home.
me of puff paint from when I was a little girl, but it's not quite as puffy
Yeah,
as
okay.
that.
Okay.
But I love it. I really do. So since I had to change it, that's what we're going with.
Very
Wow,
cool.
how do I not know about that?
I do
Liquid
not know
pearls.
that answer.
I've never heard of that.
Really?
Yeah.
What about
Oh, I'm so
Melissa?
excited.
Have you heard of Nuvo drops?
Yes,
Isn't
I
that
have
similar?
heard of Nuvo drops, but I've never used them.
Isn't that similar, Jess?
I have no idea. I haven't used those.
Well, I have, and they are.
Okay.
They're not
Good to
pearlescent
know.
necessarily, but they're very similar idea.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, they're really cool, Melissa.
Oh, well, I guess I have another thing to buy. Thanks a lot.
Sorry, my bad.
You're welcome.
But with the stuff that you do, you'll love these.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited because I love pearlescent anything.
Yeah.
Okay, Lauri, how about your fun find?
Well, my fun find is actually a website. I did an online class this last week, and one of the artists has a website that she sells some products on, and it's really cool. It's called Wow Studio, like UM, and then Wow, WOW Studio. She's just got all kinds of stuff that I have not seen before. She has wood pieces, lots of stencils, which I think are her own design, lots of rubber stamps that are her own design, chipboard, all
Wow.
kinds of really neat things that you don't see everywhere. It was
Mhm.
really cool. So I did buy some things from there, and it's a really cool, like, she's got frame looms. I don't even know what a frame loom is, but I mean, just like,
I don't know what it is, but it sounds so cool. Everybody should get one.
it's like, so there's a circle frame loom, okay? And it's a set of 3 different wood circles. And so then you can loom, I guess, stitch
Like weaving.
between
It's
them.
like for
Yeah.
weaving.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think so. I don't really know, but it's really cool looking. But my point is, she has a ton of really different stuff that I think would be fun to incorporate in some of our
Yay.
art. Yeah.
I have to check that out because I've
Yeah.
never heard of her shop before. Okay, well, my fun find is actually something that I meant to bring up last week for when we were talking about painted backgrounds. That's what we talked about last week,
Mhm.
right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't get a chance to, but it goes with collage as well. And it is Ray Missigman's book. And it's called Paint, Play, Explore.
Oh boy.
And she talks about painting, mark making. That's what we did last week, was mark making.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. She talks about painting, mark making. She's like the mark making queen. Everything she does revolves around mark making. And she talks a little bit about her story in the book, which I found really interesting. And she talks about all different kinds of fun techniques, and collage is one of those techniques. So I highly recommend that book if you don't have it. And I will put the link to that in the show notes.
Very cool.
Awesome.
So let's talk about our challenge this week. Our challenge to you is to create a collage in your inspiration journal. You can use any of the products we talked about. You can make it the minimal, just cut paper collage, or you can do the crazy painty kind of collage that we like.
Mhm.
It's up to you. And our guide word this week is the word worthy. And the guide word is just a guide. You can use it literally or figuratively. You can use it just to inspire you, kind of like what we were talking about earlier with words inspiring the theme of your collage. Or you can actually literally put the words in your collage. It's up to you how you want to do that, but that is our challenge. And make sure that you use our hashtag Creative Faith and Friends on Instagram, because we give a prize weekly. We look for people using our hashtag and participating in the challenge, and we take turns sending them prizes. And we have a winner for this week to announce.
Yay!
And Jess, it's her turn to announce that.
Yes, our winner this week for our hashtag challenge on Instagram is at Pinkdilla, Pinkdilla. And we'll be getting in touch with you and sending you goodies. Thank you
Yay.
so much for playing along.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. And you'll be getting some fun goodies in the mail. So before we go, we want to tell you where you can find us online. Lauri, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram and on YouTube as Measure Once, Cut Twice with periods in between the words.
And Jess, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Just Give Me Jesus and on Etsy at Choose Joy in Jesus.
And you can find me at pinkpaperpeppermints.com. And I'm at pinkpaperpeppermints on all my social media. And I would love to see you and chat with you there. So be sure to look me up. And we will see you next week. And we have so much to tell you about beeswax collage. And I think it's going to be our mission to convince Lauri that she likes it by next week, too.
Yes.
And they might.
So please be sure and join us for next week. And we will see you then. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode all about collage. I'm working on a video for you with that matte medium transfer technique that we talked about. And I hope you'll join us next week for the beeswax collage episode because we have so much more to talk about and to share with you on that. And I would love to hear your feedback on the blog. Do you enjoy collage? Is it something that you've done before? Is it something that you'd like to experiment with? What questions can we answer for you about collage? You can find the links to everything we talked about in the show notes at pinkpaperpeppermints.com/014, and you can leave us your comments there as well. And as always, if you have a moment to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, we would be so grateful for that. It really helps the show to get found and helps us to connect with more creative friends like you. I'm Melissa Ohlson, and I hope you have a week filled with peace and grace, and we will see you next time on Creative Faith and Friends.